Okay, this class is being recorded now. The announcement is until today, I haven't heard from the recitation TA. He should have contacted me. He hasn't. I found his name in the Pitt Universe directory. I found his email. I sent him twice email. He hasn't replied. So I took to the next level. I contact the CS department and say, hey, something is going on. Please try to help me here. So they are trying to work on this problem. So the plan A for now, the plan A, if I don't heard from him until tomorrow, the plan A is I will be your recitation TA on this Friday. So we will meet in person. Look at that. Ugh. Anyhow, I'll be there if the TA doesn't show up. I mean, if he doesn't contact me by tomorrow, because I need to explain a lot of things. He need to get up to date. I don't know if he's going to be even prepared for the recitation on Friday. So there is a big chance of me going to the university. I live like 5 minutes from the campus. So probably I will be there for your recitation, whoever shows up in the recitation. Now, let's talk a little bit about the lab itself. So here is the lab that you're going to do, something like that. Let's see if I can I move this guy? Here, all right. So basically, that's what you need to do. All the images are given to you. So for example, this little house here and all those other icons, they are given to you. This loop is given, the premium, this logo here, all these three images are given to you. So all those things are given. So if you go to the canvas, you're going to find a zip file with all these images, so you can use it. And again, these ones too, the big ones here, they are given to you. So just use it. In this case, I believe that I gave 4 images for movies. Just copy 2 of those list items and make these other 2 here. Doesn't matter that the pictures match with these guys here, the last 2. Just do it. It is okay for me. I just want to see if you can put them in place. As you're going to see in the images, I provide images probably just for the 6 of them. So just do the 6 of them. Knowing that you can do 6, I know that you can do like the 12 or whatever number is here. So I don't mind about this. All right. So just make the whatever, how many pictures you have there, just do that and it's fine. The same thing for this one. You don't need to do all the ones. You can do like, for example, like these ones. That's more than enough. You don't need to cover your page with a lot of them. Just few of them so I can see that you can do these things here. All right. So let me check here. All right. So very quickly, we are going to discuss more on Friday, but I want you to, when you look a page like this, I want to, any page that you navigate through your browser, okay, during your daily activities, just try to have that eye of and question attitude. How would I do this with whatever Paulo gave us already? So let's go by parts here. I just want to challenge you a little bit. It's not really a challenge. It's just a discussion. So again, I would divide this to conquer, right? So I would start with this part here. Can someone remind me, how can I do something like this? Very quickly, come on.
Like a div and or something like that for left right for
Very good. I will do the div, right? And then inside the div, I will put some elements, right? One of the elements is like a logo. Then you have the input text here. Then you have another image there, and then 3 other images. Now, how would I divide those things internally in CSS? We talk about HTML, right? So we said what needs to be there. Now, what would we need to do in CSS space here? Anyone?
Give them an ID or give them a class.
Very good. So we would like this, for example, between this guy and that guy, if you don't want to center this, you would put a margin there, right? All these things here, this image, this input, and this other image, they are inline commands. So you don't need to do much, but I would put like a float to the left. So this comes first, then this second, this is third. There is a margin here. So in this input here field, you would put a left margin of like, I don't know, 200. And these guys here, as I move this window to the right, I increase, these guys go together as a group. So what do I need to do here? Anyone?
Like another div and separate them.
Very good. I would make an inner div, and this inner div will have the inner div will float to the right, and internally I would put 3 images, and the images will float to the left because I want this to be first, then this and this. All right, and that's it. That's how you would do this first part here, and it's exactly the same what we have done in our lecture. So the hands-on. So there is nothing new here. Now let's talk about this one here. So we have this space now, this one here. I'm going to remove this one just for make it easier to see. Now this one is just a little more complicated or complex, let's put this way. The problem is in one single line, and I'm going to put the line here just for you to see. This is a whole line. In one single line, we have 2 different areas, and I'm going to specify the areas for you. This is one area, and this is another. Let me take this and that one here. This is another area, and you see those 2 areas, they share the same single line, and I'm going to put the single line like this. Okay, so that's what you get, right? So for us to do that, what happened is this guy here, how do I forget about the green area, just the red area? How would you do this part here? Anyone?
Unordered list.
Yes, unordered list, very good. And the unordered list, inside each list item, you are going to have 2 elements, an image and let's say H3. And then the next list item will be an image and H3 and so on. So the list item is, the unordered list would be this red here. And what else? The list item, as you see, they are in different lines, and that is okay. It's different from this one here that we need to float to the left. We are going to leave the browser to put each list item as a block command, because that's the final behavior that we want here. Every single list item, it's in its own line. All right, so that is okay. So we don't need to float to the left the list items here. Inside the list item, we have 2 things here, the image and the H3. Remember, H3 is a block command, so it would force the browser to put home under the icon home. So to avoid that, we are going to float the image to the left and the H3 to the left. This is CSS, right? We need to do that. All right, but besides that, then that's the way that you get it. One more thing that is important, the unordered list that I'm highlighted in red here, the unordered list, it's a block command. Because it's a block command, when you try to put something beside it, like this one here, this thing here is going to move to the bottom of this screen, because If the red is a block command, we'll take the whole space. So this guy will be right here. But we don't want that. We want this to be here. So the thing is, this unordered list, that is a block command, in CSS, we need to set it to a float to the left. By doing float to the left, the browser will take this unordered list and float to the left and will allow other things to be in its side. All right? And that's what we want. So again, this is an ordered list. This is floating to the left. It is a CSS. The list item, we do not need to use float to the left because we want to then separate by lines. But inside, you are going to have two components, and they need to float to the left, and that's it. The last thing I would like to mention is this area here is smaller than the green area. So sometimes people in the unordered list, they are going to put like the width about 20% of the whole screen. So we know that this is not going to grow too much or shrink too much. You can put like 20%, 15%, whatever. You can try and error there, but you're going to specify a maximum limit for this guy here. All right? Okay. If nobody has any question here, let's move to the next one. The next one is going to be this very big green rectangle. The green rectangle, if you notice, has a lot of things inside. And I want to group them together because I want this whole thing float to the left, close to the red rectangle. So this whole thing here, the green, how can I group all these elements together? What kind of a tag should I use? HTML tag. Okay, it's a div. Very good, look. That's correct. All right, we are going to use a div. So in the green area here, I'm going to get a div. Remember, div, again, it's a block command. So when you create this div, you need to go to the CSS and say float to the left. So when we create this div here, let me get this guy here and get this guy right here. When you say put this div here, you're going to say to the browse and float to the left. So it's going to here and bump into this other one that is already there. So that's the way to do it. We are floating to the left until it hits whatever component you already have there. That is this vertical navigation bar. All right. So this is the big div that will hold this whole thing. That's the green that I'm putting here. All right. Now, inside that div, we have this area here that I'm going to highlight in purple. Oops. If I get this right. This guy here. And how can we do this one, the purple area? Is an unordered list. Very good, Ed. Is exactly right. Is exactly what we have done in class. All right, we are going to use an unordered list. Each list item, you need to remove the bullet. You need to remove the anchor underline. You need to add a background. You see that there is a little background here, like each H3 here has a background, a little background. You can put it if you want, and some radius. You can have the radius that in the border too. What else? You need some gap between them, list items. So all those things we have worked in our hands-on project, the previous one. So it's exactly the same. There is nothing there. You float to the left so it doesn't go line by line for each list item because it's a block, and we are changing that to an inline command. So you need to say float to the left, and that's it. There is nothing more to it. When you finish this, and remember, this unordered list is also a block command. So the unordered list itself, you need to say, no, you don't need to say anything because it's a block command, and we want a block command for this guy. The list items that are also a block command, you want to make float to the left. But the list itself, you don't want this enigma come right here. So you want this list, an order list, to be a block command, because it's going to take the whole line, even though if it doesn't go close here, you don't want this guy here, enigma, go there. So the unordered list is okay being a block command. You don't need to do nothing. Then finally, let me get the green again. Or what else? Purple. So finally, we are in this area here. How do we do that area?
IUL.
The guy was on the
Very good. This is an unordered list again, right? Unordered list, and each list item, I'm just going to put here a list item just for you to remember. I'm going to put like in gray, maybe. This is one list item. This whole thing here is just one list item. But the list item, remember, you can group things together, the list item itself. So what I'm going to put inside the list item, I'm going to put an image. I'm going to put maybe like a H2, then a paragraph or whatever, and that's it. That's a list items, and you make multiple list items. All right. The image here needs to be a block command, or if you say 100%, we'll take the whole 100% of the list item. So you even don't need to say that is a block command, because you are saying take the whole width. So it's basically almost the same thing as saying a block command. This is a H2, for example. And remember, I wanted the H2 be completely in its line, separate from the description. And the default behavior from the browser, H2 is a block command. So you also don't need to say float to the left here. You do not need to, because you wanted to have this. You wanted to have the title to be in its own line and the description in its own line. And paragraph here, in this case, is also a block command. So we are all set. You just need to define an image, H2, and a paragraph, put things inside. In the CSS, just set this to like, I don't know, like 100%, and that's it. Now, the list item itself, you need to do what? How can I make this like a 3 items per line?
for the max Y.
Very good. Not max. Well, you can say just width, right? You say width equal, and then you like a 30% or a little bit less, 28 or so. Remember, there is always a gap between each list item. So if you say 33%, you will not get 3 per line. You're going to get 2. And remember, we have all this guy here too. So just remember, it's like I don't know, 25 to 28%, you would be fine to get 3 per lines. And that's it. So that's what I want you from, guys, in your real life, okay? When you go to any page, Netflix, YouTube, Amazon, or whatever, I want you to try to look at it and I said, I know how to do this page, okay? That's what I want you to take from this class. Just look at that. I think I can do this way. Okay, let's just again, just for a quick, let's say here, what is it? Let me pull this guy here, just for you to see how, again, you can make a page as complex as you want. It's up to you, all right? But this one here, for example, okay, is the same thing. If you see, this is just a bar. We know how to do bar, okay? It's a div. You have an image here, image there, and you have something there that you can just put like again, you can float to the right. That is no difficult in doing this guy here. Now let's go to the next one. This one here, we just went through that in the exercise for the recitation. We know how to do this, all right? Is a list, another list with an image, and so image and this guy here. And you see this one, they didn't put side by side, they put like under. So even this paragraph or H3 or whatever you want to call this, we are going to use as a block. We are not going to say float to the left. You want in the next line for this page. All right. Then what you have here, I'm just going a little bit further, like here, what you have. So this is the unordered list, and that needs to float to the left. And this will be a big div that inside the div, you're going to have maybe like a H1 or H2 and a H3. And now look at this. This is, oh, let me go back here. If I can hit here, I'm not going to finish clicking this, but you see there is a rectangle around this. This is a list item. And how many list items we have? We have 2 per line. So how do you create this list item? Okay, I have an image and I have a H3 or so, some image here if you want, but again, it's the same process that we just did it. You can do in this page. So I strongly recommend you just for exercise. Every time you see a different page, how would I do that? And then you come up with very simple solutions. I just don't want to make it too complex. We don't need to. All right. Eventually, if you go to a company and they ask you, no, I want it specifically using these 2 or these libraries, and then you need to follow whatever they say. But I mean, in this one here, I'm just telling you exactly what we have learned up to 4 lectures in this course. You are able to do any kind of page that you see on screen. You can do Amazon page, Netflix, YouTube. You can do the Speech University and so on. Okay, that's what I always try to do in this course throughout the semesters. I try to find a way to make it as easy as we can to create pages. And this is one way. Not maybe that's not the best one or so, but it's easy to do. All right. It depends on case to case. All right. All right. So I might be there for you with you on Friday. I'm not sure yet, but this is the lab that you need to do. You do not need to do in the background color black. And again, I mentioned that it's just for my vision. I prefer to have black in white and on black, but I have no problem if it's just everything is white. Any question about this one? All right, so this is the first thing. Let's say goodbye. Okay, so today we are going to talk about responsive web design. Can someone remind me? So how of you, I'm pretty sure you saw all the short videos as you should. So after seeing the videos, can someone tell me what is responsive web design?
Making web pages look good on different size screens.
Very good. That would be an answer for my interview with you at Westinghouse. Okay, I sit down with you, and that would be one of the first top questions that I would ask, and then I can elaborate more complex questions from this answer. But if you don't know this top level question, I would even go further. So that's the way that you explain. It's more than satisfactory for me, and I will do that, and that would do it, the trick. All right, so let me give you an example of a page here. All right, so let's see if this works. So I have a page. I didn't create this page. I've been used this page as example. So imagine that I have developed this page, and this page is for a restaurant, right? So we have a restaurant here. The name of the restaurant is Resto, and there is a navigation bar here with these guys here. So if I want to go to reservation, I would click here, talk about the history of it, the menu in general, or whatever, reviews. I have the navigation bar here, and then there is this nice picture out there. And if you go scroll down, you are going to see the main menu here, right? The main menu, you have some dishes with their prices, the title of the dish, and the description of the ingredients, and you have images here, and so on. So this page is great. I love it. I created. I look at myself in the mirror and said, Paulo, you are a great person to create those things, and things like that. So my ego is up there. And let's see some things here that might be not as great as I thought initially. So here I am in a big monitor, right? Not big, but in a big monitor like a laptop or a computer monitor. And I have this, and because I have it, I decide, okay, it's so big. I'm going to divide these guys here in 3 columns. So you have here 3 columns for the dishes, right? And here, because I have so much space, I can put 4 images per line. So you see, I can see details here. It looks good. So I can put here, is this banana like Paulo likes so much? Maybe not. So I can see here and do all those things because I can see very nice pictures and so. But the problem is, if when you post this image in the internet, right? You do not know who is viewing that page and what device they are using, right? So imagine now that I go for a tablet window like this. So what happened is things are starting deteriorating. For example, you see this guy here didn't fit anymore there. So what the browser, even your tablet, will do, since you don't have provide any kind of guidance how it needs to treat the page in a smaller screen size, it does what it can do, right? The browser does what it can do, and it's okay, I'm going to move those this navigation bar down, and I remember that you said to float to the right, and I'm doing this. And then it's, you know what, if it was a tablet, I would like to have this menu. Since it needs to go in the next line, I would like to float to the left, not to the right like it's here. And I said, Paulo, you didn't do that such a great job. This image is also getting too big. You know, the other one is kind of going down, but this one, because I didn't do anything, this image is getting too big. And it's not looks that fancy anymore. And my menu start breaking apart. Things are going here, is missing there. So things are like, oh, something is not right. You know what, for a smaller screen like this, maybe I should consider using 2 columns instead of 3 columns. I think 3 columns, you cannot fit everybody. Even in the price, you see the price should be in the same line as this guy here, and is changing the line and things like that. So not liking it. I would like to have like 2 columns instead of 3. Now the images start getting smaller, and there are, I don't know anymore, what is this a shrimp? What is that? I can't see anymore in my tablet because it's not as big as in my monitor. So that's really bad. And if you keep going down, the figures are going even smaller. This is breaking all over the place. Now, one thing that I want to mention to you, because we're going to use this a lot, in the browser, at least in my browser, and I believe any Windows browser will happen, I don't know about Macintosh, there is a limit how much I can push or narrow this window. You see, I cannot go further. So one way of doing that is you right-click anywhere. You right-click and say inspect. Now, I don't know why the reason now. Now I can go very small. Doesn't matter how, well, very much small. All right, there is a limit, but the same thing. So this is, now I changed from tablet, I went to like, how do I say, smartphone, all right? So if I go back here, and this, you know what I would like to do is having each of those items in like a vertical order now, not like this. This is the browser couldn't do anything, so the reservation that was here, it jump here and this jump there. I don't want this. I want to just all these items in every single line, right? This one. This is huge now. I didn't like it. Again, this is 3 columns that doesn't fit anymore. It's completely bad. So for smartphones, I would like just 1 item per line instead of 2, instead of 3, just 1 item. And images, forget about the images. I mean, for an old monkey like me, I look at this, I cannot even see what is the big things here, the big chunks. I have no idea. How can I decide for a plate if I cannot have, if I don't have any idea what the figure is showing me? So for a smartphone, I would like to have just 1 picture per page. So all those things, you can think about it like if you were very, how to say, I forgot the name in English, like naive, if you didn't know anything, you would try to create 3 different pages, 1 page for a smartphone, 1 page for tablets, and 1 page for a monitor. So you have different HTML pages for each of them, all right, with their associated CSS. And then you would post in the internet, but how you would know which page you need to send for the person that is seeing the page, it would be a nightmare. Okay, so we don't do that. We do it differently. Someone can tell me what can we do to make it right? Is using what? And again, all those things are in my short videos, all right? That you saw, you promised that you saw, so I'm counting on that. So let's see what I get here. Very good. Zoran, very good. It's the media query. We are going to use what we call media query, all right? So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to stop this for a second, and then I'm going to show you this. Just give me a second. I'm going to run this baby. Open with live server right here. Is this the one? Not this one, Paulo. This one. All right. So let's go by parts again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this. I'm going to put inspect because I want to see all over the place. So here you have, so this is the same menu that we saw before, all right, for a monitor. Now this one, use media query. And what is a media query? It's a query that the CSS is going to say, hey, let me check what display you have in your device. And then it's going to say, oh, you're using like a monitor. Oh, so use this CSS. So we are going to provide a specific CSS for this one with specific rules for monitor size. Now, what you're going to do is, as I move along, and you can see a number here, that is a number. What you're going to see is if I go to like, how do I say, tablet size, we move this guy to the next line, and it's not to the right anymore, it's to the left. Now that's what I like it. Another thing that you can see, look at the menu. The menu, I have like 2 columns now instead of 3. And the same thing for the pictures. Instead of decreasing the size, I got 2 pictures per page. I could get 3, but 2 is okay. And you can see very, very details about this. And you're going to realize, it's not a banana. Oh, gee. So that's so far so good. So we got that now. And this image is smaller, a little smaller. And if this page was being seen in a tablet size, sorry, in a smartphone, look at that. That's the way that I want. So I want this guy here to be like a vertical navigation bar, that I got it, right? This is even smaller, this guy here, so that is good. This, you have 1 plate per line now, so that's what I like it. And the images is like, again, with your finger, you could scroll down and you see all these nice pictures with a lot of detail and you are creating just one HTML with, in this case, 3 CSS files, but you send all of them together as a bundle when someone open your HTML page, all right? And the server will send the 3 files. So you don't need to worry. The user doesn't need to, the visitor doesn't need to worry. The browser is just, okay, we have a smaller screen. I'm going to use this CSS, or I have a medium screen size. I'm going to use this other CSS, and so on. So that's what is today's class topic is about. How can we, base it on a given page, how can we do this dynamically, change the CSS rules to format this based on the screen size? Everybody understands where we need to go? All right. Oof. So let me take this away. And that's what we have so far, right? In our last class. So the last class, what we have is this page here. I put blue here just for you to see the breaks, because I already put a media query here. And so I'm just going to show you where we want to go with our hands-on. All right. So I explain in general terms what is a responsive web design. Now I'm just going to the exactly example that we are going to use for hands-on. Basically, what I want is for monitor size is what we developed. So I think it's great, looks great. I can even decrease a little bit more, and I think that is fine. So it moves. It allows you to move a little bit, like this size is still a screen size, like here. So it's perfect. We have a monitor page that works perfectly. I don't need to change anything. However, when we go to a tablet size, the screen is going to be a little narrower, right? So what I want is these 3 guys here. I wanted to move to the next line. What else? Maybe change this guy to 2 per line, and that's it. So let's take a look. You're going to see, and again, I put the background just for you to see the breaks, because in reality, we will never do this in an actual page, right? So here you have, it's right here. Now we are like in a tablet size screen, right? So as you see, the 3 guys that were here and were to the right, I put it down and I float to the left. The rest is the same. And again, I change from 3 items per line. I change for 2 items per line. And that's it. There is nothing more there. Now, oh, by the way, just to let you know, sometimes you get these guys here for one reason. Is because we have not defined the size of the list item in terms of height. So very little, I don't know if you can see, you see this difference here? Is because this image was a little bigger than the other, or it's not the image, is there is this text here. It changed a little bit. So it makes this list item a little bigger. So the browser moves the one that would be here, it moves to this line here. And that's the reason because of that. If I move just a little bit more, you see that this plater went back here. So the buttons are aligned. So these guys have the same height, and that's it. So it's very simple thing to fix it. The list item, you might need to put like a maximum height or something, all right? If you put a maximum height, probably the image will be shrink a little bit to fit everything in the same line, so you don't have that discrepancy that we are having right now. I derange a little bit, but that's just to let you know that can be done. But again, we are in a tablet size. Now, did I put it here? Let's go to inspect. If I don't put inspect, I won't be able to go to how do I say, to a smartphone screen size. For a smartphone, I want to keep this guy. This guy maybe naturally went there. We even don't need to worry much about this. This is still in the same place. Now, if you see this navigation bar here, this top one, I think we do not need for a smartphone. So I completely remove that navigation bar, and that's okay. I remove by purpose, right? And the images, each of item is in its own line, such that in a smartphone, I can still see details about the image. If I put 2 images or 3 images in the same line, would be so small in my smartphone that I wouldn't make the decision to buy the product or not. But here you have a nice picture that you can see. All right, so that's what we are going to do today. We are going to go and explore what we have. That remember what we have, it's something like this. And we are going to try to adapt this page that we already have to create the other pages. We are not creating the other page. We are making this responsive to the display size, right? So that's what is today's hands-on. Oof, I talk a lot, I tell you. So let's do it. So go ahead, open your, don't open. Let me tell you what we're going to do. So let me just put this, let's get this guy, let me bring here. Many things we need to do. So we are going to work with the topic responsive web design. So, and this topic we are going to start working with this one here. That was the one that we finished last lecture, the CSS. So what I want you to do is copy this, and we are going to rename the copy. All right. Again, I don't know in Macintosh, but in Windows it's very simple. You can use Control-C for copy and Control-V for pasting. And then I have here, and if I click here once, I can rename it. So I'm going to rename it to 03-responsive. Why not? Let's put the whole thing. Responsive web design. All right. So responsive web design 03. So that's the topic that we are working with. By the way, is there anyone that doesn't have the final version of CSS working? If you don't have it, I can send the zip file that we did it via chat, and you could unzip. If you have any problem, just let me know. It seems that nobody has a problem. All right, so here I go. I went to this place here, so responsive web design. So I'm in this directory. Again, I'm going to open this, the VS Code inside this directory. So I copy that directory. I go to the terminal window. I'm going to bring the terminal window here, CS, and then the CD, change directory to that directory, hit enter, and then use code dot. So we have seen this multiple times. I will not spend too much time on this. If you have any question, just let me know. Someone looks like it has a question. Okay, Victor, let me try. Just give me a second here, Victor. Here. Okay, so let me try to bring this here. Let's see if I can put everyone in the middle. Okay, see if you can get Victor. Again, download this to a specific directory, and I would recommend you just to be organized, to do something like I have here. All right, unzip it there, and then we go from there. All right, good luck. Okay, so far so good. Let me put this down. Okay, here you have it. All right. So what we are going to do is, first of all, check that everything is working as it is. All right, so what we are going to do, we right click here and say open with live server. And let's take a look. Yes, it is working as expected. I don't know if you're going to get any difference from what I got, but I just got that zip file that we sent it, and I run and look at that. I got the same result. So this is our basis for the hands-on. All right. So far, so good. Okay. Now, someone mentioned that we can create that feature of a responsive web design using media query. The media query is inside your CSS, so it's inside the static directory. Inside the CSS, you have the index.html. All right. So what happened is you can put here some commands that we say add media. Okay. And that would be the media query. And you could put rules, this kind of rules, many of them. Doesn't need to be just one. You can put many of them in these curly brackets here. All right. With the specification that you want for big monitors. And then you're going to do the same thing, add media query. We are going to use another one here, add media query again. And with a different size of screen, you would put here the sizes of the screens that you want. So imagine that inside this block, you have like a 300 lines. Here you have for a smartphone, you're going to have, I don't know, like 400 lines. And you have all these guys in one single file, in one single CSS. Is this a good approach? To have all the media queries in one single file? Yes, no, and why? All right. It is not. For one reason. Imagine this is a simple page, right? And we have almost 100 red lines here. Imagine that you have a very complex page that has like a 400 lines of CSS, and you need to do kind of the same for every single monitor size. Then you're going to have like, I don't know, like 1,000 lines here and for different screen sizes. So for maintaining it, it's very complex. I mean, you change something because it's in the same file. You need to test for all the screens again because you open for just change it for the smartphone, but you might accidentally break the functionality of the monitor size because they are in the same file, right? So for maintenance and testing, it's not good to have all these guys in one single file, CSS file. So it's good to separate. Another thing that is good to separate monitor size CSS, smartphone CSS, and so on. It's good to separate in different files is because you can collaborate with other co-workers of yours in your company or in your group. All right. So imagine that someone comes and say, like a customer, and say again, by Friday, 2 days from now, I want a page up and running because I have some advertisement already aligned in the TV and the radio, and I need this page up and running by Friday. And if you're all by yourself, would be very hard to do the HTML and 3 or more CSS files, right? So what you do, you divide to conquer. You give like the smartphone CSS to someone that always does this CSS for smartphone. So they are going to do very quickly. The same someone for tablet, and you can do the monitor or whatever. But you're dividing the task in many people. So that's another reason why don't we put media queries in this many media queries inside one single CSS. So I'm going to remove this. I'm not going to use this way for, again, for maintenance, for debugging, and for collaboration. So you can make it faster and things like that, even for testing. All right, so we are not going to do that. So the first thing we are going to do here is, let me just give me a second here. I'm doing some cleanup in my part here in the other monitor. So the first thing I would like to do is remember this guy here is for the monitor, right? We were doing this whole thing here for the monitor, and I have the monitor here somewhere. I want to put just beside here so we can see some differences as we do. So let me just bring this a little bit this way, this guy this way, this guy this way. All right. So this is for monitor. So this CSS is already for monitor. So what I want to do, the first thing I want to do, I want to right click here in the name and I'm going to rename it. I'm going to rename it. This is the index CSS, but it's for the monitor. All right, so I put it there, the monitor. And then I look to the left and I have like a heart attack. What happened with my page? It just, everything disappeared there just because I renamed it. Can someone tell me what went wrong?
So you link that in the index HTML. So like you have to change the name in the index HTML in the header section.
Very good, man. I appreciate that. Good participation here. What she's saying is the index.html. Remember, we have to have a link in the HTML with the CSS, and we didn't rename that. So the browser tried to load this CSS for formatting this page here. However, it does not exist anymore, this guy. And because it doesn't exist, doesn't apply any ruling, and that's what you get, the default behavior of all the components that we tossed here, this area here. So great explanation. So the only thing we need to do here is change it to index monitor. And look at that, beautifully got back what we need. Woof! Thanks God, I tell you. All right, very good. Thank you, Leon. I saw that you answered that correctly too. I appreciate that. Oh, just a sec. Yeah, that's good. You got it right too, Leon. Congratulations. Very good, very good. Now, the thing is, I want to use this guy here only when the monitor is big, right? So what we need to do here, we need to say here in the link to the browser, hey, use this guy only when the media, it has some like attribute, some width, right? So that's what we're going to do. Does the order really doesn't matter, but I like to put it right here before the href. But again, the order doesn't matter. I'm going to say media. That is our media query. And you're going to say all, and now you're going to open and close a parenthesis. And inside the parenthesis, you're going to say here, apply this rule, this CSS, if the minimum width, let's say like, I don't know, like 100, not 900 pixels. Let's try with that and see what happens. And after the parenthesis over, you need to put a double quotes again, because you need to close this other one right here. So we are telling the browser, please do a query in the media and see if what you're displaying is at least 900 pixels. And if it is, then you are going to apply this guy. So if you look at here, very quickly, we have this guy, beautiful. Now try to start decreasing, and look at that. We got again that bad screen. Why we got that bad screen? Because we are below 900 pixels. Then the browser knows that it should not use this guy anymore. Did you specify something else? No, because you did not specify anything else. It's used its own default values, that this thing here that we don't like it. Okay, so that's what, for the first thing that I like it, it is kind of alive. We know that, look at that, that is the break that we were expecting We already get there. So that's good news. All right. Now let's keep moving. So let's see. Now I need to create another CSS for the tablet size. All right. So what I'm going to do this. I'm going to use the same one. So I'm going to highlight it, right click and say copy. And then I think if you use Control V, or probably if you say just paste, it should have a paste somewhere here. I don't see it. But if you use Control V, you get, or Command V probably, you get the same file copy. And now I need to rename it. So I'm going to right click again, go to rename. And then here I'm going to say tablet, for example. All right. Very good, very good. Now, one thing that we need to start doing is, if you realize, when it's a big screen, we have a body that goes up to 1010. And what I mean by that is, if you notice these guys here, they are moving to the left, look to the right. So you see that it's moving. All these things are going up and so, but I put a limit where to stop moving. So here, you see it stopped moving. So the images are not going smaller. This is not throwing back here. That I like it. That's what I intend to do. But however, when we go to tablet size, we need to change that, right? For the tablet, we need to have less area. So here, I'm going to change it. Let's say 720 pixels, for example. But this is for, oh, sorry, I put in the wrong place. Is this tablet area here, the tablet. Okay, so don't forget about that, save. All right, so this is the first thing that we need to do. Now, just again, just to see the break, we should remove this later on. In the body, let's say background color, let's put aquamarine, for example. Let's save. Let's click here. And if you go a little bit down, oh, it's not working. Can someone tell me why it's not working? Why the aquamarine is not showing up here? Anyone? It's not showing up because I don't have this specified in my HTML again. So we need to do that. So what we need to do is go here and we are going to add a new line. So between 7 and 8, we are going to open a new line. So here we go. We are going, well, you know what? I'm going to just basically copy and paste because it's going to be so similar. I'm going to copy the previous line, paste it here. We need to change just this guy right here, that the minimum width now, let's say that is 450. Let's put 51. So the one for the smartphone will be up to 450. So this is tablet, right? So it's going to be this guy here. But we need an additional information here. That is, what is the upper limit? So the upper limit, we are going to say here, and looks like someone has a question. I will be right back with you. Maximum width. And we are going to put here, we can say 899 pixels. So just before 900 here, that's what you have. And now, if you go all the way here, we are going not to use the monitor anymore. Oops, let me just put this guy. We are going to use the tablet. All right. So you see again, we are changing. There are some disasters happening right now, but we are going to fix it. But I'm just telling you again, we are linking to a new CSS, right? We are linking to a new CSS. The browser is using the new CSS for the tablet. We can see from the green background. So everything is kind of moving in the right direction. Very good. Clifford, very good. That's the answer that I asked you the question. Thank you for participating. What else? Now we need to do those small changes that we need to do. So the first change that I need to do is the div itself. So this guy here, remember, I wanted to move this guy to this area here, not there. Why is there? Let's think about it. It is here because the browser knows that this is an inline comment that should be here, but there is no enough space. So the next best thing that the browser can do is move this to the next line, but keep the floating to the right. So that's why this guy is here and is floating. So if there was something else here, it could even be in the same line, but I don't want this for a tablet. For a tablet, what I want this whole thing to take its own line. So this is going to be a block command again, instead of being a float and an inline command. I want this whole thing to be a block command, and I want to start from the left, not from the right. So that's what we need to do. So let's go back here. If you remember, let me just put, why not? Let me close this guy. Let me duplicate this screen here so we can see better. I can close this guy here. Let's see what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this guy here. So this guy, I wanna I wanna it move to the next line as a block, and nothing in that line, just these three elements here. I want to be there in the same line, but the whole block, the whole div needs to be as a block command. I don't know if you remember, but the divs itself, the div, this guy here, is already a block command in Windows. In the browser. The browser, it's already a block command. I killed the wrong one, so give me a second here. Tablet. So where it is this one here, the inner, right? Now, remember we put a float to the right, so it was doing that right as we expected for a monitor. Now, for the tablet, I want the browser to format it as it is in the default. And what is the default? It's a block command. Because it's a block command, it's going to move to the next line, and we start from the right. So we are all set. The only thing I need to do here that I like to do it most of the time, I say clear both. It's just if there is any formatting before here, like this float to the left, it might cascade down for this guy too. I don't wanna, so I'm just say clear any format that you see before. And that's what you get right now. You see here, beautiful, it's in the right space now. I like it. All right. And if you want, we can put some like a margin. Sometimes margin doesn't work well. We can put some padding if it doesn't work well. So let's put like a 20 pixels here, and let's take a look. Inner div. Yeah, you see, it's kind of a didn't do anything basically. So let's try to do padding. And this is something that I don't know why this happens. Now it works better. You see, it moves a little bit. I don't know why margin doesn't accept that. One day I might take the time to read the specifications in the browser and see why Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But again, try margin, and if the margin doesn't work, try padding. And in this case, it worked. So we are all set here. We got exactly what we want. All right, all right. The next thing I would like to do is the image itself, right? Not the image, the products here. The products I wanted to make them like how do I say? 2 products per line, right? So where would I fix that? So can someone go down here in this and tell me where would I change it to have for tablet 2 images instead of 3? So I'll let you to scroll down and tell me where should I change it.
It's in the main area or the list there. You can change the white to maybe 30 or to this really again.
Very good. It's in the main area. And remember, I want the list item, right? This is a list item. This whole thing here is a list item. So the main area in the list item, I wanted the list item to have a percentage in terms of width, a percentage of the screen. So if you keep going down, main area, list item, and you have here, we have now, it's basically 26. And why is 26? Remember, there are some gaps, there are some margin here, some margin there, here and there. So I'm just putting that. The first time I did this like 300 years ago, I put like a 33% here. It was naive of me because I thought that would have 3 list items per page, but I forgot the gaps and things like that. So you cannot put 33. Now, I want to 2 items. So I should increase this guy. Instead of the 3 per line, I want something that is 2 per line. So again, I could put like a 50, but again, I wouldn't be considering the gaps. So I'll put like 40, for example. And that's it. That should do the trick. And look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. It's exactly what we expected. So if I move this guy, you have 3 images here. And then when we go through the breakpoint, look at that. We have 2 images there. Is there anything else that we need to do here? I don't think so. All right, all right. Does anybody has any questions? So let's see here. Leon, I'm going to even bring here. So Leon is asking, could you also do max columns? I think, yeah, you can. And again, I want to remind you guys that everything I'm showing you, there are many different ways that you can accomplish the same task. All right. I'm giving one of them. I strongly recommend, and you're going to see in your life, if you are going to do more web development, you're going to see many different approaches, and I'm fine with all of those. All right. Everyone has a different approach for something. And not only that, sometimes you work in a company and the company requires you to use a given approach because all the other engineers are doing the same approach. So to standardize this, to make it standard, they ask everybody to follow a given approach. So the approach that I'm using might be used by other companies or might not be used by other companies. As Leon said, we might use max columns. There are people that use flex boxes, and there are so many other ways of doing the same thing. So as I mentioned, like to some students, you are like in a forest and you need to cross that forest to go to another city, and you're going by walk. The path that you're doing is probably different from other people that are doing the same crossing that forest to go from city A to city B, but at the end you get to city B. So again, all these small variances in the path, it's okay. There is no problem. For me, there is no problem to anybody. The only thing that I believe I said in this class is try to follow what I'm doing, at least for this class, for one reason. if you get like when we get to bigger, a little more complex code, if you are using different tools, different libraries, and you ask me to help because you got stuck, I might not be able to help you because I'm not proficient in 30, 40 different types of tools that are out there. Even though they work for what you need, I am not proficient, neither the TA. So I would strongly recommend you try to use what we are learning here. And because if you want to help later on, because you got stuck or something, I cannot help you many times. All right, just that. Don't forget about this. But I have no problem if you use it. It's up to you. All right, so far so good here. We did that. Let's see what else. The same thing here, for example, I would not like it to go beyond, for example, here, you see when this guy changed it to that location, I don't want the screen to go beyond this point here, just in terms of aesthetics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check what is the number. And again, if you right click and say inspect, you are able to see the pixels right here. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm already there. So I'm like in 828 or so. So about here. So like 820, let's put 820. So I'm going to go back to my VS Code. And here, what is that? Here, I'm going to put 820. And remember, what does this do is you tell the browser to not move the things if it's below this guy. If it's below this guy here, what happens? There'll be a scroll bar at the bottom. So that's what is going to happen. So again, I'm here, here, here. And when I go here, so I'm below, and you see it's not moving this guy anymore. So we are still not moving. You see, but there is a scroll bar right there. So that is okay too. Just to avoid things start popping in wrong places, I strongly recommend you to have like a minimum size defined right there. Very good. Now, if you go to like a smartphone, we don't have anything yet there. So that's what we're going to do. Oh, we don't have the time. It's 7:14 already. Man, the class flies, I tell you. I enjoy, I don't know about you, but I enjoy this class. So when I look at that, it's 1 minute to the class be over. Does anybody has any final questions before we adjourn and we continue next lecture?
Would this work on any device, like phone, tablet, Kindle, whatever?
It should. It should. I strongly believe so. I don't believe there is any problem. It's just the browser that you have installed in your device should do the media query because you're asking that. So the browser will do the query, get the value, and then check with CSS should be used.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. Good question. And if I don't see you anymore, have a great weekend, everybody. Oh, I might see you on Friday. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.